Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we'll be talking about the Guild of Merchant Explorers. This is designed by Matthew Dunstan and Brett J. Gilbert, and it is published by AEG.
Are you guys, now listen.
Okay.
Listen up.
I'm listening.
No, but listen even harder.
Oh my gosh, I'm totally listening.
Because, listen, this game title might sound drab.
I don't think it sounds
The
drab.
game box might look drab. But I tell you what, there's some fun to be had in this box. Ignore the name. The name doesn't mean anything.
What?
The Guild of Merchant Explorers. It might as well be called The Workers Who Work. That is the new name of this game. The Workers Who Work.
Why don't you just show them how to play?
Let's do that. All right, here's the setup for the Guild of Merchant Explorers. Every player is going to get their own player board. There are 4 different maps that you can choose from. There's 2 of them, and they're double-sided. Basically, when you set up, make sure that everyone's playing the same board. The Bethany board is kind of like what they recommend is your starter board. They all functionally act the same, however, each one has kind of its own twists and nuances to it. Since we are playing all on our same board, there's not a lot of interaction between players. No one can really affect your own board. What's going to happen is we have these various actions up here. You can see we already have 3 of them up here. Those are not going to be in play during our first turn. But all the rest of them are represented in this deck over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to shuffle this up, and we're going to play the first one. So we've got our deck, flip one over. All right, so this is the 1 mountain spot. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our cubes, and starting at that spot in the middle there, we're going to place 1 cube on an adjacent mountain spot. If you ever cover anything up, you get to take that reward. So if we go over here, we're covering up a coin, we're going to take a coin as supply, and that is a victory point. We're all going to do that simultaneously. Once everyone has placed their cubes, then we're going to place the next card. This one says, place 2 of the grass tiles in any way you want. They have to be, again, touching your network, but they do not have to be in any kind of arrangement. Again, we've covered up a coin, so we're going to take one from the bank. There's also kind of a 2 sand spot. There is 2 of whatever you want it to be, but they have to be in that configuration. They have to be in a row. And then we have a 3 water spot. Now, where things get interesting is when we draw that number 1 card. Let's go through our deck. Let's just go ahead and find it. All right, that's that number 1 card. When that is revealed, what's going to happen is we are all going to get dealt 2 of these special action cards, and we're going to choose one of them to enact. They can do a variety of things. This particular one says, basically you're going to explore a continuous path of up to 4 mountain or sea spaces. So that's really cool. This one says you can explore up to 5 sea spaces in any way you want to. This one says explore any number of connected grassland, desert, or mountain spaces in a straight line. So that's any number. So basically there's all different ones that you can choose from. You're going to get dealt 2 of them, and you're going to choose one of them. What's going to happen is you're going to put next to the side of your board, next to that Roman numeral 1, and you're going to go ahead and do that, whatever that is, right now. This particular card says, explore up to 4 spaces within a single region. So right now, the only places we can really go there are right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to finish off that little green area. We also are going to maybe go over here and get close to this little trade right over here. Okay, so now we've done a couple of things. First of all, we've finished off this grass area. What we can do is we can take one of our little towns and we can replace one of our cubes with one of those towns in that area, as long as we're not covering up anything. The reason that's important is basically at the end of the round, we're going to remove all of the cubes off of the board. However, we're going to leave behind our towns, our villages. So from here on out, starting the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th rounds, we can either expand off of our center spot on the board or that town that we just placed. So the more towns that you place, the more flexibility you're going to have as far as being able to start and maneuver around the board. You don't always have to start from that central location. You can kind of expand out from anywhere once you have one of those villages on the board. All right, so like I said, at the end of the round, we're going to remove all our cubes, put those back in the supply, leave the villages behind. What we're going to do is we're going to grab all the cards that we played, plus add in the next round's card. Now, the same thing's going to happen. We're going to shuffle our deck. We're going to reveal them. If we ever reveal the number 1 card, we get to place the number 1 action, just as we chose before. And the same thing, we're going to reveal all our different ones as before, placing them all simultaneously. If we ever get to that number 2 card, what's going to happen is the same thing as before. We're going to draw 2 cards off that deck. Everyone's going to choose one of them, place it next to that number 2 spot, and immediately do it. As you can see, there's a number 3 that we're going to add in the 3rd round. And the number 4th round, we're basically going to get a chance to do one of them over again. So not only are you going to do all 5 of your base actions every turn, but during the first round, and from here on out, you're going to be able to do that number 1 action, whatever you chose. From the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round, you're going to be able to do that. During the third and fourth round, we're going to be able to do that. And then also during the fourth round, you can choose any one of the number 1, 2s, or 3s and do it over again, whatever's most beneficial to you at the time. There are some features on the map that I want to show you. So basically we have these little numbered spots here. So we've got 2 over there, we have a 4 over there. Those are basically trade hubs, trade routes. If you were able to connect with cubes a path somehow between those 2 cities, you're going to get points based off the multiplier between them. So in this case, you get 2 times 4, you get 8 points. However, you need to cover up one of them. It basically shows that route's already been scored. That's going to stay there for the rest of the game. There's also 4 lighthouse spots on every board. If you're able to cover up one of those, you're going to replace your cube with an actual lighthouse. And based off how many you've built, you're going to get that many victory points. The first time you build one, it's worth 6 points. The next one's going to give you 8. The next one's going to give you 10. And if you're able to complete all 4, that fourth one is worth 14 points. I also want to point out that our little villages there that we're adding on the board, if you do it in the first round, you're going to get 1 coin. Later on in the game that you do it, you're going to get more coins. However, the benefits are really getting it done early so that we have places to expand out from. So it kind of balances out. There are also various shipwrecks and ruins all over the board. If you're able to cover one of those up, what you're going to do is you're going to take one of these little treasure chests, you're going to cover it up, showing that you've already discovered that, and you're going to draw a card off the top of our treasure deck here. All different rewards can be found in here. Here we've got some coins. We've got some more coins. This is some end-game points. This one says, at the end of the game, for every 2 of those villages you built, you're going to get 2 more points. There's extra actions in there. Basically, all kinds of rewards can be found from the shipwrecks and ruins. So again, every board's going to work similarly. You're going to try to work throughout the board and try to connect trade routes, cover things up in order to get some of those villages built, discovering shipwrecks, and building some of those lighthouses. And then each board has its own little twist to it as well. Also, every board has its own little deck of cards. What you're going to do is you're going to shuffle those up at the beginning of each round, and you're going to reveal 3 of them. These are additional ways to score. This one says, if you were able to place 2 discovery towers, the first person to do it is going to get 10 points, and from here on out, anybody else who does it is going to get 5 points. Or maybe things like this. If you have different villages on 3 different lands, the first one to do that's going to get 10 points. Everyone else that does it is going to get 5 points. So each map's going to have its own set of cards, customized to it. It's going to give you additional rewards and points. At the end of the 4th and final round, what you're going to do is you're going to add up all of your points from all of your sources, and you count it all up, and whoever has the most points wins the game. So in the Workers Who Work, I thought the simultaneous play was just a lot of fun. This is what makes this game stand out. It feels like you are playing a really longer, satisfying Euro game, but in a fraction of the time because everyone's playing simultaneously. I think that, if you play a half an hour game, that's about where you're going to land, half hour, 45 minutes tops. But you get this kind of, I just play a 2-hour really crunchy Euro. It's great, haha. But really, because it was so simultaneous, it zipped by.
It was so simultaneous.
It was super simultaneous.
It was like the most simultaneous. I liked all the variety that came in form of the maps. There's so many maps in here. And one of the things that I liked about that is because you could, as a player, kind of figure out like what works best with a certain map, but because there's so many maps and there's so much variety in that, you're not going to be able to work the system because it's always going to be changing on you just a little bit, where the structure is, where the lakes are, where the ocean is, where the land is, where you can cross, where you can't cross. It's always going to be shifting a little bit because of the different maps that are in the game.
Not only the maps themselves, but then the actions that you can do on your turn. Every time game you're going to be able to play is going to be different because of those special action cards that are unique to you. So everyone gets a chance to play the 3 waters when that comes up, or the 2 sand when that comes up, or whatever it is. But man, when those Roman numeral cards come up, I just like this. Ooh, I get this my action. I get to play my action, whatever it is. And a situation that could be fantastic for whatever you're doing at that particular moment, but maybe it's like, I wish that would have come up later, or whatever it is. So I think that those are really, really fun and really special tiles, and it sets the game apart in that way too, because even though we're all doing the same thing from the 5 base actions, it diverges once you start adding those cards, those Roman numeral cards, into the mix, because now what you're capable of has changed.
Yeah, and you can try to synergize those as they go, so they can all blend in and work really well together.
Yeah.
Another thing that I thought was great, kind of pairing off of the map things, was the scoring titles. So even all the different maps, because all the lands had names to them, and they all had a variety of scoring tiles, and are scoring cards, and you don't play with all of them in every game, so you mix them up and you draw random ones. Like one of the cities had to deal with the ruins were all numbered, and so the scoring had to do with going to certain numbers or doing certain numbers in connection with different things. So it gave you, it's nice when a game has like a direction. So it gives you a direction, and it also has a lot of variety because it changes game to game.
All right, so I will say there's one thing that I had to do with this game that I was not a big fan of, and it's a nitpicky thing because it has nothing to do with anything. But basically, there is one of these maps where it's talking about this big, huge deal. It's a little synopsis of the map. It's talking about these jellyfish.
It's on the board game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on one of the sides here.
Right there, yeah.
This map is infested with jellyfish.
100 feet.
These 100 feet long jellyfish. Oh man, these are bad news. So I'm like, oh, this is gonna be cool. I'm looking forward to seeing how these jellyfish interact with the map. There was no jellyfish. There was like some jellyfish art on the board, but like it didn't actually have any gameplay.
Yeah.
Connection whatsoever. It was like this weird thematic
Ryan
touch.
was like really upset about that.
I was so excited about like, oh, what are the jellyfish going to do on this crazy new map? Oh, I love it. There was no jellyfish.
Okay, so speaking of the maps and speaking of the artwork, this is actually my biggest nitpick to the game. So as all of you can see, I do wear glasses, but these glasses give me 20/20 vision, and my vision hasn't changed in like 4 or 5 years, and we just got our eyes checked, right? I have perfect vision with my glasses. Everything was so tiny. It was so tiny. Like, there was so much. I'm really bad at spatial reasoning, but I feel like almost a third of the map was just all flavor text art.
Jellyfishes for no reason.
Jellyfishes. And I just wanted it to be bigger. I wanted the hexes to just be bigger, and the tiles and the ruins and everything to just be bigger, because it was so tiny. They were so tiny, and going to all these different places and putting your, like... Yeah, I just wanted it to use more of the board that was there, or more of the sheet that was there, instead of it being this big artwork all around.
All right, so what is your overall thoughts on the workers who work?
Okay, so... the workers who work. It's like... Ryan's going to be saying that for days.
I'm really proud of my joke.
Like, I'm going to go to my work where we work. Just like, this is all he's going to be saying. So I did enjoy this game, but it's probably not going to be a game I personally ask for. However, it's one of those games to where, even though I'm not going to ask for it, I'm not going to think about it. If somebody asks to play this, or somebody wants to play it, it's not going to be one I'm going to veto. I'll be like, oh yeah, sure, that's fine, we can play it. It's just not going to come to my mind.
Which is fantastic news for me, because guess what? I do really like this game, and I will be asking for this one a whole lot. Maybe not the stupid jellyfish map. Actually, that was fun too, because that was just a thematic.
The crystals. You like the crystals, yeah.
But the point is, this game had a really great blend of strategy and tacticalness. So you had to, map out what you thought you wanted to do at the beginning of each round. Like, oh, you know what? I really want that lighthouse over there. And if I can connect that to that ruin over there, that'll work out really nicely. And you know what? Maybe possibly I can do that. And I want to make sure I really get one of those towns built across the ocean, so that way I can kind of expand from there in the next round. All those plans are great, and you need those. But also, you don't know what order the cards are going to come out in. Yeah. So you need to have that ability to kind of pivot a little bit and say, okay, so now this tile came out earlier than I wanted it to. What's the best use of it? How can I do it? Knowing what's going to come out after this, what should I set up? How should I set up? How should I make this work in my favor, even though it's not what I wanted necessarily from the outset? So I thought that was a really great blend of how to use those different portions of your brain. If you can do that well, I think you're really going to enjoy this. I personally thought it was great. I loved it. This is just one of those games I really liked. It hit me on all the cylinders.
I want to know in the comments below, whenever anybody uses the word pivot, do you automatically think of Friends? Just curious. Just let me know in the comments below if it just like pops in. Yes. Pivot. Whenever anybody says it, it just like pops in my head, and I have to be like, no, I'm busy. I'm doing something else right now. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. Until then, you can find us in all of these places.
Yes, thanks so much for watching our review of the Guild of Merchant Explorers, a.k.a. the workers who work.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.